Welcome to the HIVE Thrive Hour with Buttcoins and Shadows Pub. This is number 17, and our guest today is EcoInstant and the Crazy GM. Welcome, you two. Now, I got to give everybody a warning because you're listening on voice. Uh, you're going to see the Buttcoins name popping up there a lot, but you're going to hear two different voices. One is Buttcoins. Buttcoins, say hello.
Hello.
And the other one is Eco Instant because they're in the same room. Eco,
I am living in Butcoin's house.
there we go. So there, just listen for the voices, and you'll know who's actually speaking, and hopefully you'll get the clue from the comments that are made just before the person speaks. So I'm gonna, since I already kind of know Eco Instant, I'm gonna start with Crazy GM. How are you today?
Pretty good.
And where are you located on the planet?
I am in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh, you're not Nico's or Buckcoin's host today.
No, no, far, far away.
Okay, we've got some diversity here. And you've been on the chain how long?
Since Steam, I want to say 2016.
Ah, which month in 2016? He's got to think about that.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sorry.
that's 2017 maybe. I came out in 2017. I think that might be the
Yeah, that's
2016
probably
was
more
the
like it.
ninjas, the ninja
Yeah,
miners.
no, then it was 17. I just knew it's been a while.
Okay, well, you've been around 8 or 9 years. How's that? What drew you in? Like, how did you find the chain? What made you decide? Yeah, I'm gonna jump on here and give this thing a try.
Actually, as started as a job for somebody else. I had never heard of it, and I don't want to go into details because it was a nightmare. But
Okay,
an exchange was being built and I was hired to help build it and it fell apart, but I ended up loving Hive or Steam at the time, but ended up loving this chain as it is.
so you're involved in building in exchanges. What kind of work were you doing? You don't have to tell us the whole story, just the type of work you were doing.
I mostly do uh, I was system administration. I was actually doing the server setups and stuff, and configuring the databases and all the stuff you don't see.
That has to be done in order for everything to work.
Yeah, and I really enjoy it. So
And you're still doing that kind of work?
yes, a lot of the work I've been doing is a little more visible now because of Eco Instant, but more than half of it is still stuff you don't see. Yeah, absolutely.
So you've been working with EcoInstant in his projects?
Yeah, we've actually been working together for I think 6 years now. We've been trying everything.
So is that the main stuff you do on Hive? Do you are you into the let's post some of my stuff, or you just like that working behind the scenes and getting stuff done?
No, I post the tools and stuff I work on. I also post a lot of role playing games. I'm a big Dungeons and Dragons fan, so that's also where my name come from.
What do you like most about Hive?
I actually like the community. I think because it's small, um, it's not Facebook. I mean, I like it how personal it is.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that. That's a big thing that keeps a lot of people here is community. What do you like least?
Bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy on a decentralized chain? How does that happen?
Nailed it, GM.
Happened a lot more than I thought it would.
It's the nature of people, isn't it? You get them together and they've got to create a bureaucracy in some manner.
It seems that way.
It does seem that way. Eco, I know you've been around.
Yes.
I know you've been around since 2017. And you dragged your mother in. What dragged you
Yes.
in? What dragged you in?
Well, yeah, and we talked about this. I feel like I have been on a previous Hive Thrive. We
You
talked about
have.
our work, ecological work, and I months after GM joined, I started seeing that there were in this space there were a lot of people that had ideas and they wanted to build things. And naturally, I feel like I'm a support staff kind of guy. And I started kind of doing tutorials. I started posting less about our ecological stuff, and I started explaining things to people. Like, not that I knew everything, but I would learn it and then I'd show it. And I found a lot of success with like tutorial type posts. And as I moved forward with that, I actually just started like helping projects build. I saw it like a small group of people. If I liked the idea, I'd say, hey, I could help you with that. And they would, I don't know if hire is the right word because they never seemed to pay me any money. But there was this one job. I think it was an exchange being built on Hive, and they offered to give me some tokens, and I became business development for this exchange. And while I worked there, which turned out to be a nightmare, I met this intrepid young sysadmin, the best sysadmin I've ever met. Yeah, so we actually met on that first job, and another of your guests on Hive Thrive worked there. It was to me, it's kind of like my first project management job. I had to talk to the people, invite them in, and I also had to tell the development team like this person is coming in, but they need these features, right? So it's kind of how I stepped from building tutorials into project management, the communication between clients and developers. And Disregard Fiat was actually working for that exchange at that time. So it's funny, but yeah, it's a small world around here on Hive.
It's kind of cool that a nightmare that thankfully didn't get launched onto the platform um, ended up becoming a bit of a dream for at least two or three of you. So that kind of worked out nice. I remember those tutorials of yours. I remember coming across your name even before I met your mom. And yeah, you definitely put the long into long form. When you wrote a tutorial, it was detailed.
It's something about it. Like I've become with this project we do now. I've become, we call it the face, and so my job is to kind of yell in public and make people notice us. But that's not my natural form, you know. Really, I am good at seeing what's missing and trying to fill the gaps. So in a bigger enterprise, probably I would not be in charge of like marketing or anything like that. I'd be more like customer service and project management where I round off the edges, the sharp edges where people are tripping up on. I try to make things smoother and just basically find the things that can be improved upon. And ideally, find the ones that are low hanging fruit, right? Find the ones that are easiest to do, that require, because it is just the case that you have a limited pool of energy to give any project, whether that's based on the number of employees or time of hours of the day. So I would always just try to identify like, you know, what are the easiest things we can do to get us closer? Because in this space, it should be the case that most people know, you know, it's open source. We're all kind of building things. Nothing is going to be perfect. We're not Google, right? We don't have millions and definitely not billions of dollars. But if we could find the right things to put our energy on, we can go further faster. That's kind of, I think, my real skill set.
You've released a lot of tools on the chain, haven't you?
And I just, we got to get GM in here because, like, there's this, like, plural and singular thing. Like, yes, I've released the tools, but of course that means that
Yeah, well,
GM has released the tools.
GM's going to come in shortly because I'm going to turn this over to Mike,
Okay.
then he can bring you both in. How many tools have been released, though?
We were just looking on the Hive tool site. I think it's like 18, and we now have 3 premium tools, and we're actually contemplating our Hive tools drop down. It's like going off the screen. So we're actually have been contemplating kind of reorganizing the site layout, how, maybe they're not all Hive tools, or maybe there's some subsections because it's so many, they almost don't fit on the page anymore.
That's one of the downsides of productivity is figuring out how to keep it organized, eh?
That's so true.
Now is a good time to say, Buttcoins, you've got some things to ask, I'm quite sure of on this. Go for it.
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do. And because we're in this subject already of building tools and reshaping layouts and all this. I think I'll jump forward in my questions and just hit this big picture question that I'm interested in, and I'll leave it for this question for the crazy GM first, and then I'm sure Eco will jump in with his thoughts as well. So, you know, this is a conversation that I found, while a bunch of us Hivians are all sort of together, I get to ask my really like butt questions. Like, so I see things like, okay, there is a project that either gets a DHF fund, gets approval, and it's building some tool, and or it's just somebody saying that they're going to be releasing a project, and they're kind of sharing ahead of time that they're working on this project. And it seems like, oftentimes 6 months passes, a year passes, sometimes even getting into the 2 years and plus time frame, and you're like, well, what's going on? And it's like they're still deving. And so me as a non-dev, I have this like dumb but question is like, what takes so long to dev? What's the dev holdup? What is it specifically that, like, why tools can't be created quicker, or why what is it in the deving process that becomes the holdups and the delays? Maybe I know you guys are kind of, you guys are building a little more modular, and you're kind of kicking things out on a pretty fast pace, but maybe you could just still talk about more generalized what you think, the crazy GM, what you think holds up the deving process in general.
I would say the number one thing that holds it up is actually scope creep. Every time you have an idea, they keep moving the goalpost, and you end up having to change something to adjust to the new improvement and things like that. And like you said, a lot of our tools are modular. They're single purpose, is why I'm able to spit them out so fast. They do one thing and do it well. When you start building a bigger project, the amount of scope that goes into it, it just keeps moving the goalpost, and it seems like it's a never ending battle.
So it's basically, it's like, if we put this in, because I put this into terms of sort of like architecture. You get an architectural plan, and this is how I want my beautiful dream house to look, and then the builder starts building using the plan, and then all of a sudden somebody's coming and being like, actually, you know what, I want this wall over here, and could you move this toilet to over here, because I feel like it'd have a little more flow in the house. But you're basically saying that that type of thing is happening with devs, that an overarching app or project is being built, and there's an idea of what it is to be, but then in the midst of actual building, people are being like, actually, you know what, could you do this? Actually, you know what, we're going to need this button. That what I'm hearing?
That's a big chunk of it. Yes, it's can you please put the toilet in the middle of the living room? And and another one is tech debt. A lot of the times there'll be libraries and stuff that don't work right. So you end up having to reinvent the wheel just to get something done that should have been easy to do. That's the two main ones I can think of.
And the tech debt is a specific problem, say to Hive, or is this tech debt happening anywhere?
It's everywhere. Every project suffers from it in some way or another. Um, yeah, a new version of something comes out, and then all of a sudden nothing works anymore because they decided to change one little thing, and you have to, reinvent the wheel just to make it work.
Yeah, and I wanna step back to that architecture example. So like when you make plans for a building, it's like you make the plans bottom up, and then so now you start building and you put in the foundations, you put the columns, the walls, and you get to the second floor, and the guy says, actually, can you switch the master bedroom and the bathroom? And can you move this wall a little bit? And in his head, it's really easy. You take the eraser, you erase it, and you move it over, right? It hasn't been built yet. But the constructor says, well, okay, sure, I'll rip down the wall, the load-bearing wall I already built, and I'll build another one. So let me go back to the ground floor and build that whole first floor again for you, buddy. And so you can move your wall on the second floor. Because these things, like the thing you're building on the second floor, this is with tech as well. The next thing you want your app to do depends on the first floor that you just built. So if you have a scope creep, and you can avoid it a little bit by scoping, planning ahead. But it is also just the case that things change, life changes. When you get there and you see it, you say, oh, I wish it is different. And when we do building with concrete and cement and rebar, steel, like we kind of get it. Like we're not actually, it would be hundreds of thousands of dollars to do that again. So we won't ask him to do it. But because it's this invisible code, it's just like, yeah, man, just change it. And so I have been on teams. I've been looking in on teams, trying to help them, where they just keep putting in more walls and deleting walls, and they just go in circles. They're just, I mean, what do you think, Jim? I mean, is it the case that clients don't see what's already built in the same way as they might with like an actual construction building?
Yeah, you're 100% correct because in a lot of people's head is, oh, it's just a button. How hard can it be to add a button that does this? And they don't understand the 12 floors before it that hold that one button up. So I mean, you're absolutely right.
So, here, let's get into the emotional structure as well. How do you feel, the crazy GM, when somebody says, "Oh, you know what you should make is a button over here." When somebody gives you an idea that they think is such a great idea, how do you feel inside as a dev?
I really enjoy my work, and there's a lot of the times, yeah, Eco is basically my product manager, so he actually has to refrain from telling me ideas because I will jump on him. And more than one of these tools has come out because he said something in passing. So yes, I do actually get excited when people have good ideas. But at the same time, it actually depends on the idea. Because if you ask me to write something to help you with your taxes, my eyes are going to glaze over.
Fair, fair. Well, okay. So, for some reason, like uh, I kind of imagined, I think I was putting you in the dev box that is my box here in the world that I live, where I'm running a physical business, and every once in a while people come up to me and you're like, you know what, you should like you should sell banana smoothies. And I'm like, all right, you gonna fucking buy me the Liquidora and provide me the space to store the bananas and the extra fridge space to to like it's like people have these like great ideas all the time, and like for me, it almost sends like like I was in the war, like a little bomb goes off, and and I have to sort of smile because I'm in service and say, oh, thanks for sharing your idea. I'm going to think about doing that. Yeah.
But you nailed it, bud. That's exactly right. You, because you're experienced, you know what goes on here. You know about all the employees, the shifts, the management, the schedules, the logistics. When somebody says an idea, you have a filter like that's possible. That would be a lot of work. That's impossible. Just don't work. Won't work. It's very much like that with code. Like some ideas could be easy. Some ideas could be done, but they would take a little bit of restructuring or even a lot of work. Some ideas are like, yeah, man, why don't you just ask me to build the app all over again? You know?
Yeah, well, and so it goes. We have a lot of suggestions. People come up with a lot of suggestions in this life, and I guess yeah, it's being able to have that filter to be like, you know what, that is a good suggestion, and then not allowing your own sort of traumas to get in the way of not hearing a good suggestion, maybe, because some suggestions are valid and wouldn't be that difficult and are worthy, and others are just like, give me a break, dude.
Nailed it. Yeah, and I would even say that's exactly right. And it's probably why larger organizations have more people, more roles. So there, you asked if this is just Hive or if this is just. I wouldn't say just Hive for any of this. But there is a particular case that we are struggling. A lot of the issues we struggle with on Hive are about open source. And open source is older than blockchain, right? I think the MIT license came out in the 70s. With our Mithril project, we noted that Wizards of the Coast open sourced Dungeons and Dragons in 2001. And there are issues with working in open source, and one of those issues is naturally people get into groups, but they're small groups. So the smaller the group of people, the less skill sets you have, or you might say the more roles any one person has to take on to get like a complete team together. And this ties into Dungeons and Dragons, right? You know you need to have a ranged guy. You know you need to have a magic user. You know you need a tank. And so the smaller the groups get, the more difficult it is to balance the different skill sets that project management and development require.
Great. And why don't we just like kick into another aspect of what you guys are up to? So I think it was about maybe like 6 months ago or so that I became aware of the Synergy Witness that you guys run. I believe it's at synergy.com. And at the time, I think you guys were something like 104 or 103, and I plunked on my vote over there, and now you guys are moving down through the ranks. The last I saw, you were at 56. Maybe it's even gone lower than that at that point. But why don't we talk a little bit about your witness, and how's the journey been going? Maybe walk us through your witness goals and where you're trying to get to and what you're trying to accomplish with the Synergy Witness.
Sure. Okay. So I'm trying to make the link clickable here, but yeah. So if users on Hive want to give back to the network, we often say that they should make a witness. And anyone hearing a saw, it's because a saw is going. I did change my mic around. Hopefully it's not, I'm not pointing at where the guy is sawing. But yeah, okay, nailed that link there. So it is better. Okay, thank you. We had considered doing a witness before. It's an interesting idea. It's particularly political. It takes a while kind of to get the votes, similar to the DHF. Like, basically, it gets to the point where you just have to ask everybody one by one, hey, would you vote? And some people want to be asked multiple times, you know, and if they're even if they're gonna vote you, you might have to go back a couple times and say, I don't want to vote a new witness. But it is the case that valuable community members run witnesses, and the technical capacity of running a witness is maybe not even related to the value you bring to the community, but it is one way that you can give back, right? So if there is a volcano or something, or the ocean lines are cut, like our 57th ranked witness will be there. We do produce blocks, a couple blocks a day, and so we're helping maintain the network above and beyond the things that we're building and the value that we try to bring to Hive. It's just a way, to give back, show that you're giving back, and possibly, if you get high enough, I imagine, earn some rewards as well. Those rewards come in as Hive power. We're not powering it down. So we are just gaining stake in the network by being valuable members. Again, the value is and is required to produce blocks, but the votes are not about the blocks we produce. It's a bureaucracy, or it's a politics. It's a social thing, and we're a social chain. So if socially the people think that we give value, they vote for our witness to get more blocks. So yes, we have to actually have the technical capacity, the server ready to produce those blocks. But really what we're doing is harvesting community support. The community is saying this or that guy should get more blocks. Now, we did a brand. It's not any one project that we're doing, but this word that we've been using for years, synergy. And I think it's my word. I mean, it's a dictionary word, but I just always thought that, especially in open source, synergy should be an important word, because it does hurt me to see multiple people doing similar things and not talking to each other, rebuilding things that already exist. If we could stand on each other's shoulders, if we could assist each other, if we could use synergy, it seems to me we'd be building smarter, and we'd be going forward faster on some of the things that we'd like to do around Hive.
So maybe we could demystify a piece, and I'll ask one of my butt questions. So when my understanding is that only the top 20 witnesses like sort of get the value of the costs of the server, and that they maybe even make a little bit of money obviously if the Hive price is higher, then they can make some money. So my question is people that are outside of the top 20, are they still at least covering their costs? Or if we look out into that landscape of all the other witnesses out there that are not in the top 20, are they all in essence paying out of their pocket to keep our blockchain safe? Or are they at least kind of coming somewhere close to breaking even? Maybe you know the answer to that.
It depends obviously on the Hive price. Like I said, we are not planning, and we haven't sold the Hive, so like it comes in as Hive power. So, but when I do the math, it seems like, and I don't know when this was, it used to seem like it was definitely an investment, and now it seems like it could be a little bit closer to breaking even. It certainly does not feel profitable. But I think it is more of a break-even case. Upfront cost. Okay, so I'm not even considering hardware costs. So it depends how you set it up. If you rent the server, if you have the server, Solo Miner in the chat is saying like he's got the physical setup, and in that case, well, any amount of money once you got it going is might consider that to be net positive. It's not something I would say being in the 50 something, 59th, 58th ranked witness is not something I don't think I'm making or we are making because again, our witness is a team witness. We have multiple users because we decided that we want to build in this synergy way. We have different services that we offer the community. We don't consider this to be like a money making operation. And if it was $10 or $20 a month above board, you might say, I don't really think that's much of a money making operation either. So the top 20 are getting, I think, a significant paycheck, but also what we require of them is a lot more. We test their nodes. We expect them to, we expect them, some of them at least, to run these open API nodes. We've never missed a block. We're training and we're testing, but of course, if I did miss a block, it wouldn't really be that big of a deal, And so in Solo Miner's case, right, maybe, one day a year he doesn't have power, and so he might, miss that block. Is it worth it for him as a backup witness to have a whole another failover server? Maybe, maybe not. But for a top 20, I would say it would be unacceptable to not have multiple failover servers. So as you get higher, the expectations go up. And so it makes sense that they would earn more. But again, I really want to emphasize this. Hive power is only like earning if you sell it, if you power it down and sell it, which makes it tricky. If you do power down and sell it, which we're not and we don't plan to, but if you did, I have a feeling people would start saying, hey, wait, I might want to unvote you now. So in some way, it does seem like an investment, at least in time and energy, because if you were ever to try to spend that money, I think there might be some pushback, and you might even lose community support.
And in the case of your server, maybe the Crazy GM, I'm assuming you're kind of like hitting a lot of the day to day. Is that a server that you are maintaining at your house, or are you guys renting?
No, the server's maintained by BAM, LOLX, and Endex. So these are the other two of our team. They run SPS Solutions with Splinterlands. And we together decided to rent one. It's in Germany currently, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a big enough server to install all the plugins. The Crazy GM, I'll let you talk now, but the Crazy GM actually was the one that told them, they said, listen, we want all the plugins. And maybe we could talk about what a plugin is. But a lot of these lower witnesses are running what you might call a light node. We're running a full node witness, and it's not really a node, but we have all the plugins. We're saving the data and the lookups because we want to kind of get the experience of working with the real top server. Yeah, go ahead, GM. You tell us the story about when the server didn't have any plugins.
Well, yeah, but a lot of the times our problems is the node we're using goes down, so you have to switch nodes. So I figured if we're going to use a node and I want it to be reliable, I'd like to have control over it or some control over it. So they had it spun up and it was doing the blocks and everything. And when I went to use it, there was no data there. I mean, there was nothing to use. It was literally just here's the block, it's signed, on to the next one. So there was no way to look at somebody's post or get the accounting history or. So I said, hey, if it's going to be useful, it needs to have all the things. If I want to pull up a block from 3 years ago and see what's in it, we should be able to. And like you said, a lot of the ones on the top ones, few of them are the nodes everybody uses, but a lot of them are they just basically take the block and throw it over their shoulder and just keep going.
And so that's obviously a way different commitment than to keep those blocks around for people to look them up. And most of our tools, or a lot of our tools at least, especially the ones that I'm really proud of, the Tau and the backlinker, it actually is about organizing our old data. It's not just about 3-second transaction times, which is, of course, something we do really well. But I just always want to look at that data. I want to analyze it. I want to find my old blog posts. I want to filter my old information. I want to filter your information. I want to look around at this old data, and that requires storing the information from the blocks. So that's more work.
All right. I feel like that is a bit of demystification in that range, in that area. I feel like I won't be starting a witness anytime soon, but I'm glad that you are. So you got a question there, Shadows?
Yeah, Alessandra's curious about the dev side of things here. She's asking, are there contracts, written agreements for defined dev work with relegated scope of work, with terms of start and completion for a specific job, with an agreed upon number of hours for a set in stone price? And if you want clarification on that, Alessandra is here so she can clarify.
Yeah, Alessandra, just to jump in, what are you talking about? I mean, I think the answer is no, because I've never worked in an environment like that, and I don't know anybody around here who does. But what exactly are you asking about?
Well, what I am asking is like my frame of reference. Uh, Buttcoin's partner, poker playing partner, Bitter Irony, works in app development out of San Francisco and Brazil, and everything they do is those are those elements of the contract before they put somebody or another 2 or 3 or 4 somebodies on a bench for a project. That's what they're, all of that has to be defined. And so I was a little bit fuzzy about when Buttcoins was saying, um, tongue in cheek, like, why does it take so long? And I'm like, well, is there a document like, okay, these are going to be the number of people working on the thing or the number of hours. Here's what the outcome is going to be. Here is what the fee is for any change orders. Like, is it because we are a community blockchain owned by the community and people are doing the work on their own that it's not so contractual? I've always
Yeah,
been confused about this, and the
let me jump
topic was so right here in our laps that I just had to jot that out and find a place to put it that it could rise to the top while we still had airtime. Thanks.
No, excellent. I think I know exactly where you're coming from, but we need to make some distinctions here. So the Hive blockchain does get some work done to it. They keep updating it. Right now, Block Trades is working on half a Hive application framework, and those changes. And he is not charging the DHF, but Howell does have a year-long contract to do something. So he's got a contract, but to me, in my eyes, it's not specific hours. It's not clear what are the deliverables. So one of those questions is a yes, but still most are no. Now, Block Trades will update some things for half. He creates more work for me and for my team. I don't get paid to keep my app updated. When he updates Hive, he breaks my and everyone else's app. We don't get paid to keep it up to date, which is why a lot of times older apps break. They used to work, now they don't work. And you know why? Because I am busy. And to fix my app, depending on the model that you're using. So when I was transitioning from tutorials to like development, I built the first tool I built. I was in free code camp and I was like, okay, I got this great idea. I want to see the backlinks to all my posts. Because even then, in Steam, I'd only been blogging for a year. It was hard to load the last year of my posts and scroll and load and scroll and load and scroll. And so I built a tool and it worked great until somebody updated something, a hard fork, a soft fork. And then it broke. And then I did fix it, I think, that first time. And then there was another update and it broke again. And I got a message from somebody like, hey, your app doesn't work. And I said, yeah, it doesn't. And nobody ever paid me for that app. I mean, maybe I wrote a post about it, I got some votes, but like I fixed it once, I never fixed it again. I think I might have tried and failed. After 3 or 4 hard forks, I said, okay, I got this old code. Let me see if I can get it working again. I failed. I spent several hours over several days trying to get it to work. I failed, and I gave up. But we have this incentive structure. I built a free tool at that time. There's no incentive for me to fix it anymore. And so I got to the point where I didn't fix it anymore. I just did something else. And that old tool was broken until I got together this year. And me and GM, we said at the beginning of this year, we said, we're done working for other people, man. I'm tired of seeing scope creep and tech debt, and I'm tired of knowing 110 things that should be done in a different way. And we just got to build our own thing now. We just got to do it. And so we've been doing it, and we've been paying for it ourselves. Again, we hope to get to the point, not again, this is the first time I'm saying this here, but we hope to get to the point where we have an incentive structure that we're incentivized to keep this up. Because if we get to the point where we stop, probably what will happen is the same thing that happens. We've seen it happen with a lot of tools. They'll work for a year or maybe 2, and eventually they'll start to break, they'll get wonky, and eventually they just won't work at all anymore. And maybe even people will say, oh, those dang guys don't keep their app updated. But really, we stopped, in that case, it's been years since these tools have been updated. We have like HIVE Vote. HIVE Vote hasn't been updated in years. It's amazing that it still works, really. And it doesn't work all that well. It's kind of wonky. It shuts down. It skips things sometimes because the notifications have been updated, the way the APIs are handled. And so some of these legacy tools that we were still riding on, I think they could break very soon because the indications are already there that they're not being maintained. And there's no incentive structure. The guy, whoever it was that built HIVE Vote, he's long gone. But what is his incentive to come back and fix the tool for me? He didn't know me, and I never paid him. So we have this challenge with open source, and it goes back to your question. I almost feel like that could be a whole podcast about like how open source is way different. And most of those answers to those questions are always going to be no in open source.
And I could just take 20 seconds, 30 seconds here and add my little bit, and then we'll keep moving on with these questions. But this has been a topic of conversation about how a lot of the projects, especially things that are getting DHF funding, that they aren't doing, because it's true. What should happen is there should be plans, and there should be hours, and there's the contract should be clearer. And sometimes it feels a little bit like it's too open. So the open source is too open, but in terms of the funding aspects, and Matt Starkers was showing me his file, and so he's got several projects that he is doing that aren't even in the not even be funded by DHF. And he was just showing me a flow chart. He was showing me projected hours. That exact chart that you were talking about, Alessandra, it does exist, and independently people seem to be doing it with some projects. And Matt was talking about like trying to publish some of this stuff so that the question is how do we as a culture on Hive expect these things? I see Vaultec is in here, and we're all like super hopeful for the VSC. I guess the question is if it was an obligation or a expectation, maybe is the better word, that projects that apply for funding would also be giving basic level reporting of what their expectations is and what their timeline is. I think that this is a positive thing overall. And then the question is in a decentralized platform, how do we get to that expectation point? Because if it's your private business and you are doing it out of your own pocket, you create those things. So the charts that Starkers was showing me, he's created them because he's actually paying for Distriator and a few of 3Speak out of his pocket, right? And so then he's creating them. And so then the question to me is why do we not put that same expectation on anybody funded by the DHF? And this isn't to throw shade at anybody in particular, but more us as a community. How do we get to that expectation? But this is an entire conversation all onto itself. I just think that it's a nice little point to make. And I want to continue now with questions for the project that we are here talking about today. So maybe I'll jump to you, the Crazy GM, and I've seen a couple names for you for the overarching project that I've seen it called Mithril Destiny. I've seen it called Open Mithril. Maybe you could clarify what you call your overarching project, and what's up with it? What are you guys trying to accomplish with Mithril?
Well, Mithril is the base of it, which is why you see it with other names. But the way we have it now is Open Mithril is the open source stuff that we're releasing. Mithril Destiny is, I believe, what we were actually going to call our company, but that's the main account for all of this. And it had to do with a game we had talked about a long time ago about wanting to maybe make one of these days. But the distinction is the Open Mithril is the open source stuff, and then Mithril Destiny is the businessy side of it, I guess. And Eco might be able to explain it a little bit better than me, but um,
Okay, Eco, I'm staring at Eco. He's having a mini smoke break, so he says, "Keep going."
fair enough. But yeah, to us it's just Mithril. It all comes together to just Mithril, and uh, yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't really put much thought into it. I mean, it's just a whole bunch of accounts that we use for the one thing.
So I what I can say when I have seen or heard the name Mithril before. I've noticed it. I've spotted it. But when I think of you guys' tool, the thing that stands out for me and the way I often refer to your set of tools and these things is this worth money? That I loved it when I first saw it. Is this worth money? Like, and it's like it's a tool that is built, and you're ultimately showing people the tool, asking them to use it and test it, and then also ask like, is this worth money? Is this worth building? Are people interested in using it? And I find that yeah, I think it's a great name. It's a great way to like ask the community. And I also think that it also spreads a little bit wider, and maybe for other projects, it's just a good question to ask, because I think a lot of times we have our ideas of what needs to be built, but then a community might have very other ideas. They have a lot of other ideas. So yeah, maybe talk to us a little bit about how things have been going with the tools that you're building, and how people are responding to those tools.
Well, I haven't heard very. We don't get a lot of feedback, and we ask for feedback, positive or negative. What little I have heard, everybody seems to like it. or any one individual in particular. Most of them were built for a single person that asked, "Hey, is there a tool that does this?" And I'm like, "Well, there is now." I honestly, I don't keep track of who's using it, and I do know the market viewer gets used a lot. And when people do point out some sort of inconsistency or something, I do try to fix it pretty quickly, actually. So, but yeah, the is it worth money was a fun thing because yeah, I thought it was a brilliant idea too, and it is a very good question. I mean, because you need to know if what you're doing is even worth bothering with.
I love that. I'm just going to jump in here because in my head, it's all connected. I say this, but like, so I asked myself this question: is it worth money? And it might be related to the fact that I'm paying my own money to build these things, and therefore I try to build the things that I need. And these are tools, a lot of them, that I need. And yes, we received some suggestions from other people. Um, and we pick if it's easy enough to do, just like GM said with the market viewer. This is a tool like I use the markets and I wanted to see who was doing the buying and the selling, and other people seem to respond to that tool the most. Maybe I'm not sure, but these tools are useful, but is it worth money? And money is a symbol for time, right? Like everything that costs money takes some amount of resources to do. But beyond like myself, I feel like every project should be asking this. It's happened before that we built something. I don't want to like go all the way into the past, but we actually had a company on Steam called Loot Kit Games, and we built some stuff that we thought was really cool, and nobody, used it. And then later, what else did we build? We built Dreamer. I actually hired a different developer, and we went through. I even drummed up some excitement for it, and I got people like telling me they were going to test it and use it. And I released Dreamer, and no one did it. No one tried it. No one even used it. And so, it's like I spent my time and effort and money and energy, and the answer turned out for those things, they were not worth money. They were not worth the time and effort, the resources. But we have this idea on Hive that Hive can do many things. And so one of the coolest things about Mithril is it's like where the myth of what Hive can do becomes real, right? So Mithril, it's like we're trying to take the myth that Hive could do all these things and make it real. And hopefully, at the end of the day, everybody would say that, yeah, that is worth money.
And so you have this division in the premium tools and the free to use tools. What is in the premium tools? What is it that you're offering there, and what's the cost?
Well, okay, so the first premium tool we built for a single client, and he is using it, and it has increased his workflow quite a bit. It's basically, everybody knows, I think, that Hive has encrypted memos. And if you use PeakD or maybe another app, and you get an encrypted memo, you see it in your wallet feed, you can de-encrypt it with the memo key. But if it came last week, you need to scroll and load and scroll and load, and you have to find it, and then you can de-encrypt it. And if it came last year, forget about it. You'll never find it again. Maybe you find it on a block explorer, but that's not in the PeakD. So how do you take it from the block explorer, and how do you de-encrypt it? There's no button there to do that. Even if you found it, now this superpower of Hive, this feature of Hive, it's useless basically because there's no tool to deal with it. So we built, first of all, a de-encryptor. So if you did find that old thing and you found the encrypted memo, you could put it in to our encryption tool. That's the free tool. You find it, you put it into the de-encryptor and sign it with your memo key. You can de-encrypt an old memo without having to spend an hour loading your Peak D wallet feed for a year to find the old memo and click it with their tool. We created what's called the Whisper Box, and that actually what we do is we load all of your encrypted memos. We don't know what they say, they're encrypted, but we show you on a simple interface only the encrypted memos. We have one client that uses it, and he needs it. His program uses encrypted memos. As far as I know, it's the only program on Hive that uses encrypted memos. If somebody else used it, we'd tell them. And I think nobody else uses encrypted memos because there were no tools for it to be useful. Now there is. So, and anybody could go and they could spend, hey, GM, what is the price of that? Is it 0.9 Hive per month? Is that something right? Or 1 Hive per month? We
I
will
think it's at
edge.
0.9, yeah.
Yeah, 0.9. So we will edge storage your encrypted memos. We don't know what they say. You can de-encrypt them on the browser side. You can even purge your cache if it's very private. You could de-encrypt it and then purge that de-encrypted data. We never see what your memos say, but it's basically a mailbox. It's a mailbox for encrypted memos on Hive using the Hive encryption technology, a little mailbox. And somebody in the future might want to use that now that a tool exists. The next tool we built was your front end. I think we have 9 or 10 feeds now. I just set one up for you, Bud. And it's a customizable, programmable feed. You can show on a site the blog posts you want to show, and you can set programmatic. So what we did, for example, recently, everybody was talking about Pioneer Supporter, and Pioneer Supporter worked great for Talentland, and now the next event is coming. And so Pioneer Supporter is great, and it's going to continue to support, I think, maybe all of the onboarding efforts, but we just wanted one here in Guatemala. We just wanted to see just the people that are onboarded here. And, we're not going to ask Pioneer Supporter to go unfollow. And then how do you see the people that Pioneer Support follow? Well, Ecency kind of has a way to see it, but it shows their reblogs as well. And so we have a customizable feed. I went in, I customized it, and it's showing the posts from only the followers. And I set that up real quick because the tool is super easy. And one of the cool things about your front end is the way we have it set up, you can change your configurations. So we could follow a different account. We could show a different account's followers, or we could do something completely different. Click a button, reload the page, and automatically it will show, based on the new configurations, completely different posts. So this morning I went and I followed 3-4 more people that I onboarded yesterday. And as soon as I reloaded the feed, there they are. They include their posts. And I know, but you had mentioned you wanted some changes. Those changes are really easy to do. And so we're going to implement those. And recently, we just created the way for me to give you that instance. And so in a month when I leave, I'll say, hey, but this costs 50 cents a month. If you want to pay for it, there it is. If you don't, it will die at the end of this month.
Geez, I feel like my neck just got in a guillotine. A 50-cent guillotine. All right, nice. Cool. Well, that sounds cool. And so, okay, so you have those premium tools out there as an option, and we are kind of wrapping up into our hour. I guess I'll ask both you guys, what do you want people to know about, whether it's free tool? Is there, let me ask you, the Crazy GM, is one of the tools, whether free or premium, do you feel, say, most proud of, that you think is incredibly useful, and you want to just sort of pitch that tool before we go? And actually, go ahead, Eco, you can do the same thing right after, sell us on what you think is some of your best tools on offer.
I'm actually really proud of the tip jar. I didn't put that there for people to spend money, but I made a really easy way to pre-populate a keychain click. So people could put a link on the bottom of their page or whatnot. Like this one is the buy us a coffee link on the bottom of our main page. And you click that and it automatically fills out a form to and from and how much and what the memo says. And yeah, and I'm really proud of it. It's a very simple thing. And I, I just, and I know it does get some use. So I'm really proud of that one.
I love that one. And that's a good, and here's the thing, we're maybe not the best marketers, but TipJar is a utility. It's a verbose URL. If you study that, it's explained at the bottom of the page. Anyone on Hive can make a custom donation link. It's 3 clicks. You click the link, you click send, you confirm the keychain transaction. And this has to do with default account and keychain. So you don't actually have to fill in, you don't have to log in, you don't have to fill in what account you're sending from. Keychain knows that. So when you click, go to the page, click the send link, Keychain will pull up your default account and you just click confirm. It's 3-click donation link for Hive. I think in Discord it's 4 because you have to click like, hey, did you know that you're leaving Discord? But from a blog post, I feel like every project it should be using this. It's a 3-click Hive donation link. Nailed it, GM. Yeah, I was thinking about the Tau. I love the Tau, and it's our thematic art organizer. And this is like the backlinker used to be my favorite tool, and then we built the Tau, and like I just like uploaded an image a year ago when I was on a walk in Florida, and what was that post like? I want to find that picture again because I would love to just copy the link. I would love to share that picture, find it. I don't have it. I can't find it on my phone. I got a new phone since then. Like, isn't that why I put this stupid stuff on a blockchain? Like, so we created the art organizer where you can filter your own posts or any other person's posts by a number of different things like tags, communities, author, and you can search your post by the images that are contained within. And I love it. And I love it also for curating art and finding, like one of the things I've been looking at recently is the Zing community, Hollow Zing. They've had, I don't know if it's like a year or more of art contests. There's some dang good art in that community over the last year or more. And I've been playing around filtering it and finding the thirsty, sexy pics in that community.
Nice. I'm gonna have to get myself some thirsty, sexy pics searching up real soon. Shadows, you got anything you want to add to the conversation before we wrap this up?
So I was just sitting here looking at the tip jar and thinking that people that put up posts that particularly are evergreen type posts, they would be really well served to use that tip jar link so that when it pays out at the end of a week, people could still give them something on that post. I know a lot of people are not tuned to doing it, but if they saw it often enough, maybe people would start actually using it.
Yeah, and all we need is people like you guys listening here to this podcast to just try it, use it, and recommend it. We don't make any money. It's a free tool. We don't, you could look, you send the money to the other person. That's all it does. It's 3 clicks, so it seems to me, if I could have done it with 2 clicks, but that's the minimum amount of clicks to send a donation on Hive. It's completely configurable with the URL. And if you like it, if you think your friend could use it, tell your friend. Because we're like, I'm not incentivized. Like, I'd love for more people to use it, but I'm busy building the next thing. Right? So
you're actually better than Buy Me a Coffee because Buy Me a Coffee takes a cut out of it.
Right. There's no cut because it's on Hive. No fee, no cut. Yeah.
So myself have enjoyed listening to both of you talking today. I've even been able to pick out the difference between when it's Buttcoins and Eco, which is a reminder to people listening that you're hearing the two voices from the same name today, and that's not a mistake. That's reality. They're sitting in the same room. So, what want to thank both Eco and GM for joining us today, or I should say, the crazy GM. I haven't figured out the crazy part yet, but we'll get to know you better. But did you have any last words?
I no, I appreciate you guys coming. It was really good to chat, and yeah, I guess just let people know that next week we have Soul coming in, and he has recently created a new front end app called Eureka. We're going to be chatting about Eureka and probably get into more of these deving subjects.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us. And of course, another thanks to our guests for joining us as well. And until next week, it's the Hive Thrive Hour.